Placed in jeopardy, with every means to defend herself stripped away from her, Jazmine could do little against her pursuers. The Fab Four had been split apart due to the sudden attack on their photo shoot, and her only company at the time, Weston Archer, was taken out by a sniper. With the rain rendering her unable to rely on her stand, Jazmine had no means of rescue against the fortunate son attempting to rob her of her life. And yet, rescue arrived in an unexpected form. Steiner Optics, Jazmine's self-proclaimed biggest fan, somehow armed with a stand of his own. The assassin that had once come for Jazmine now finds himself captured by Optics' stand, a cephalopod's tentacle grasping his ankle. The fortunate son casually takes his clandestine rifle in the shape of an umbrella and aims it at the tentacle ensnaring him. But as he pulls the trigger, the weapon refuses to discharge.
Impossible!
The fortunate son bemoans in exasperation.
You let Dreamweaver touch you.
Optics reveals as he holds an unconscious Jazmine in his arms, clutching her tighter.
So I made damn sure that you didn't have any bullets to hurt Jazmine with.
The hitman garbed in black takes his parasol and aims it away from Dreamweaver, lifting it instead to the heavens.
Did you think my umbrella was merely a rifle? Or perhaps you weren't watching its true power in action?
Ripping the umbrella open produces a visible sphere surrounding the fortunate son. As that sphere expands and reaches Dreamweaver's tentacle, it is blasted away from the sable assassin's leg. Optics recoils, forcing his stand to withdraw its tentacle having sprouted from one of its fingers, returning the creature's hand to a more humanoid appearance. Fortunate son, now free of his enemy's grasp, saunters sluggishly to Optics in order to put an end to their resistance and complete his apparent task, eliminating Jazmine. As he approaches, Optics notices the curious sphere surrounding his opponent. It wasn't made visible by anything the sphere was composed of, but instead of what it wasn't. Rain droplets will usually combine as they fall, but as those droplets come nearer to the fortunate son's umbrella, they are blown away by each other instead, the opposite effect. Inevitably, this creates a virtual firmament of empty space within the fortunate son's vicinity. Not even the umbrella gets wet.
Everything within my umbrella's influence repulses whatever is within it,
the fortunate son admits in simple terms. Knowing this, Optics regains his composure and slackens his grip on Jazmine. He stares down the approaching villain, knowing now how the battle ahead will play out.
Then I'll just have to find a way other than physical force to kill you.
Upon a rocky cliffside coast of the French Mediterranean, a young girl stands with the sun beating her from behind. The water reflects the sunlight's intense glow, a shimmer upon each wave bouncing back to the girl. The sail of a catboat in the distance also catches the light, and the breeze carries the scent of the sea up the cliffs to her. A chic older gentleman spots her, snapping a candid photo and catching her unaware as he utters these next words that will set her life on course.
I could make you a star.
That's how it started. No.
Eloise Margot muses to herself as she witnesses the precious summer dream of her hometown fade away with a whisper. As though witnessing the film strip of her history, Eloise watches the pieces of her life fall back into place, from one photo to 100. Before she knew it, the brilliant summer sun's lights were replaced with flashing fluorescent tubes, and the scent of the saline waters became the overwhelming smell of heavy perfumes to disguise the odors of laborious costume changes and 12-hour-long days. The young girl's life of seaside luxury now exchanged for one of artificial glamour. Then, a party in Paris, an opportunity said to push her career to the next level, to go international from one coast to another continent. Although the two countries could not be more different, the industry remained forever the same. But her career continued to be on the rise. Eloise Margot, the witchy woman of Maison. And today she stands underneath the pouring rain in a junkyard across the Atlantic, fighting for her life against a CIA assassin simply because she took a single sip of spiked wine. Sheltered from the rain within the junkyard's garage, Beefeater sits atop a golden throne resting firmly upon a mound of gold coins. He sneers at his victim, allowing his stand to do all of the work in taking out his target. Money Talks wields a golden axe, bearing down on its adversary as the gleaming weapon catches what little light it could under such a stormy sky. A far cry from a summer day at the coast. Collapsed to her knees, the dour model hangs her head in defeat, as if resigning to her impending death. Eloise removes Witchy Woman resting atop her head and tosses it aside, chuckling in irony and pining for a different life than the one she walked. Regrets fill her head as the blade falls upon her neck, cutting into her flesh. And just like that, Eloise Margot has been unceremoniously executed. Beefeater erupts in laughter, victorious.
So it was that easy all along. Didn't even feel it when your head popped right off. Like a hot knife through butter.
He exclaims, as when the axe passed through Eloise's body, it slipped so unbelievably cleanly right through her. Money Talks confirms her demise, noting the blood from Eloise's slaughter painting the golden blade a crimson shade. But it was a short-lived victory for Beefeater.
Just like a man,
A familiar voice gripes,
so easily satisfied.
roosting on an even higher pile of junk than Beefeater on his mound of doubloons. An unimpressed Eloise Margot stares down in disdain. Witchy Woman, her stand taking the form of a witch's hat, rests atop her head, its wide brim blocking the rain from snuffing out the cigarette dangling from her lips.
Pathetic.
Beefeater panics in disbelief, glancing rapidly between the two versions of Eloise before him. The one speaking down to him from the mound of trash high above, and the one laid dead, sprawled before his feet.
How the fuck are you?
Eloise hops down from her perch, making her way toward her so-called corpse as she explains.
You said you felt nothing from attacking that Eloise, did you not? That is because all you eat was indeed air.
Eloise's deceased body double lying in between the two parties slowly begins to vanish, as if it were a ghost fading from sight. Even the blood that was on Money Talks' axe fades away into nothingness. The Eloise now standing before Beefeater grips the brim of her stand, which causes another ghostly apparition of herself to rush and attack Beefeater. He flinches, but as the ghost makes contact, it too vanishes.
They are but sweet summer dreams, visions of other versions of myself that could have been, all the different lives I could have lived, ghosts of my regrets, in other words.
Eloise continues to explain in the face of Beefeater, frozen in fear. Throughout Eloise's account of her stand's power, Money Talks creeps from behind. The stand takes a cheap shot at the model, striking the woman clean in her head. The blade makes contact, becoming lodged in her skull. Beefeater, having bided his time, stands from his throne and triumphantly pumps his fists.
Now that time I know I got your ass. Felt every bit of that one.
He gloats, staring down at his hands as the feeling of his stand's blade making contact with Eloise still rings throughout his bones. However, much like last time, his celebration was premature. Eloise scoffs as blood drips from the wound in her head. Though painful, it was not fatal. She kicks herself away from Money Talks, who dislodges the axe from her head.
Why the fuck won't you die, bitch?
Beefeater curses.
Did you not listen closely to the sound? When the axe hit me, it was metal on metal, no?
Eloise proceeds to thump her head near the wound. A muffled metallic sound reverberates.
In this version, I had an accident when I was a child. In other words, now there is a metal plate right where you eat.
Well, that's just too goddamn convenient.
Beefeater objects. Eloise chuckles, shaking her head.
No, not convenient, intentional.
She proceeds to display her power once more by projecting a series of summer dreams, ghosts of other versions of herself, and tosses Witchy Woman in the air like a bouquet. The witch's hat soars through the air until it is quickly snatched by one of the phantoms. This Eloise bears no wound from Money Talks, apparently a version of herself that was never struck by its axe. Upon wearing the stand, the new Eloise finishes the previous incarnation's explanation, as every other vision of the melancholy model dissipates.
Whichever summer dream wears Witchy Woman is the real Eloise.
However, with every exchange of Witchy Woman that occurred, one of the 9 cat skulls lining the band would also vanish. This was a fact keenly noticed by Beefeater. The golden-clad bourgeoisie clicks his tongue, feigning ignorance.
So by the looks of it, your ass is practically immortal, ain't you? You expect me to just roll over and quit, is that it?
Beefeater reclines in his throne, snapping his fingers and giving an unspoken order to his stand. Eloise flinches at the sound.
Now why would I go and do something like that? Especially 'cause you already shot your load.
True to Beefeater's observation, Witchy Woman no longer possessed any more skulls upon its band, and with no more skulls to sacrifice, her stand is rendered as useless as the junked cars surrounding her. But Money Talks was far from finished with its bag of tricks. After using its ability to render its lavish weapon into golden coins, Money Talks turns its attention to the junked cars nearby.
These broke-ass cars may be a pile of junk, but that don't mean they broke. Know what I'm saying?
The golden stand lands a powerful blow and explodes the vehicles in question into their value in gold doubloons. Now armed with more money than it knows what to do with, Money Talks converts these funds directly into its next weapon. A rocket launcher fully armed and aimed directly at the defenseless Eloise.
I about had it with your tricks, ho! Blow that bitch to a pile of ash! Money Talks!
Beefeater stand slowly squeezes the trigger on its bazooka. But as it does so, an unusual savior appears to defend Eloise. A black and yellow-clad ballerina with a television set for a head intervenes and slaps away the bazooka, forcing Money Talks to withdraw several steps. The weapon fires, a wayward missile missing its mark by a mile, nearly crashing into Beefeater's throne room. Eloise gasps as if recognizing something familiar in her 11th hour ally. As the stand looks back to ensure Eloise's safety, a yellow smiley face glows upon its screen to greet her. Flicking one of the many remaining coins into the air, Money Talks catches the doubloon in the barrel of its missile launcher. A small flash of light from within the weapon suggests it's been reloaded with another devastating munition. There is simply no end to its inordinate ordinances. Taking aim at the walking television set before it, Money Talks once again prepares to fire its missile launcher at its adversaries. However, before its fingers squeeze the trigger, a recognizable voice issues a command.
Go on, bazooka! Backfire!
A smiley-faced sticker slapped on the side of the missile launcher oddly responds to that request.
Roger, Dodger!
As Money Talks fires the weapon, the bazooka erupts in fury. Not because it fired another round, but because the missile lodged in its smokestack exploded before it even left the barrel. Money Talks is blown back by the explosion, and Beefeater equally so, beyond his pile of gold coins. Eloise finds herself in the care of Sunny Cher, protectively cradled by her fellow model.
The stickers.
Eloise mutters in dumbfounded amazement.
They are from you the whole time, Charlie.
Helping Eloise stand upright, Sunny continues to wrap her arms around her to support and defend her comrade.
This time, I'm not letting go of you, Elo.
Shouting out a command to the black and yellow vision before them, Sunny not only reveals this entity as being her own stand, but gives away its name.
Those stickers can bring anything to life. It even lets animals talk. It's like I'm a modern-day Cinderella. With that said, go ahead and slap a fat one on that dump truck for me, Soulful Strut.
Striking a nearby dump truck with its open palm, Soulful Strut leaves a familiar smiley-faced sticker behind. From out of the sticker comes a miniature voice, complicit to the demands of the one who gave it life.
Should I do it? Should I empty my bed? Go for it!
Sunny commands with a smile. Still covered in smoke and recovering from the bazooka's backfire, neither Money Talks nor Beefeater could react in time. The dump truck in question lets loose its contents, spilling a mound of gravel and dirt on the golden stand. A thick cloud of dust masquerades Sunny and Eloise's escape, as when it settles, they are nowhere to be seen. Beefeater ultimately stands from his throne, sullied and enraged at the sheer disrespect.
So...
Guiding a disoriented Eloise away from the battleground, Sunny clasps her fellow model by the hand and leads her deeper into the labyrinthian junkyard. With Soulful Strut by her side, Sunny attempts to communicate with the inanimate junk around her. The yellow and black stand places its hand on a scrapped vehicle, but determines that none of them are in working order. Completely gutted.
If I could just bring one of them to life, even if the pedals are gone, it should be able to get us out of here.
Sunny suggests. However, she has so far had no luck. The bright-eyed beauty clings to Eloise's hand and pulls her along once more, but her ally flinches in pain. Eloise collapses in their escape, grabbing at her stand resting atop her head as blood trickles down her brow.
Eloise, what happened?
The sullen model grimaces, wiping away some of the blood with her finger to see for herself the extent of her pain.
Witchy woman is a bit of a problem child. When she gets hungry, she takes a bite of her mother. I've used up all of her skulls.
Witchy woman has to eat?
Metallic debris tumbles down the wall of disused vehicles and junk our two heroic models are hiding behind. Sunny and Eloise flinch in anticipation of an upsetting ingress by Beefeater. However, much to their relief, it was simply a wayward rat scurrying about. Sunny sighs with a wide smile of gratefulness, as Eloise seems equally appreciative that the source of their interruption was a mere rat, but for different reasons.
Perfect timing.
She whispers. Eloise rips her stand off her head and throws it in an arc toward the rodent. Sunny is shocked as she witnesses a series of sharp fangs protrude from the underside of Witchy Woman and snatch up the unaware creature. The crunching of bones and slathering of blood causes the innocent Sunny to avert her eyes and shut her ears.
I can't believe you would.
You eat the cheeseburger, no?
Eloise retorts as the floating hat returns to her.
You think it is not a cow you are eating. You disrespect that cow by pretending you're somehow guilt-free of its death. Life must consume life. My witchy woman is like a pet cat. It is my responsibility to feed her.
Sunny, with an unconvinced, scrunched expression, returns her gaze to Eloise.
But Soulful Strut doesn't need to eat anything. Why would...
Eloise muses in explanation as the rim of Witchy Woman is slowly replenished with 9 cat skulls along its band.
Ah, my witchy woman is different then. It must be that, in order to grant me 9 chances at life, it must take the life of others. Imagine that.
She broods.
How unfair.
Appalled by her lack of empathy, Sunny erupts in dismay.
How can you say that? That poor thing just gave its life for you.
The morose model chuckles, shaking her head.
No, you misunderstand. To think that my life is worth more than that rat's, and 9 times over it's that. I say it is a joke.
Eloise pauses, turning to face Sunny with a sober, unflinching expression amidst the rain beating down on her.
Because my life is worth less.
Sunny is left without words. Eloise continues, thinking back to that one sunny day on the French Mediterranean before her life was turned down a less fulfilled path.
What is success to you? I used to be happy once, believe it or not. But that changed. I've worked so hard, and yet I don't think I've smiled once since that last day on the beach.
As she muses, a vision of Eloise standing on the French coast sparks in her mind.
This witchy woman, I can change the life I lived, but she can only travel so far. A happy life is quite literally beyond my reach.
Sunny pauses. The rain continues to beat down upon the two women, and yet, underneath such a bleak sky, she smiles and makes a pledge to her comrade.
Whatever it takes, Elo, I'll do everything in my power to find your smile again.
The dour model stutters in disbelief, but nevertheless, she recollects herself and sighs in exasperation.
Your optimism is exhausting, Shelley.
A bolt of lightning and roarous thunder interrupts the tender moment, flashing a familiar silhouette across the two models. Eloise realizes they've been discovered, and glances up to the top of a mound of trash where Beefeater and Money Talks stand, fanning himself with stacks of cash. His voice sinks into the valley of junk where our models stand poised.
Finally found y'all. Took me a while to scrounge together all this cash from that pile of shit. But now that I got it, I'm trying to figure out what to kill your asses with.
Before Beefeater can make a move on his threat, Sunny barks back with a smile.
You know what to do, conveyor belt.
Conveyor what?
You got it.
A sticker placed near Beefeater's feet responds in glee before taking the ground from beneath him. Beefeater collapses as the land he was standing on shifts abruptly, revealing itself as a conveyor belt leading directly toward an industrial trash compactor. The belt moves at breakneck speeds, stripping Beefeater beyond the range of his stand and the money he was holding. Money Talks scrambles to catch the bills left falling like leaves, but it vanishes before it could snatch and convert a single one of them.
That bitch! This thing shouldn't be moving so damn fast! It's like it's acting on its own!
Beefeater curses. He tries to move, but realizes his foot is stuck by some debris. Thinking as quickly as the conveyor is moving, Beefeater grabs a scrap of metal and thrusts it into the smiley face sticker on the belt, grinning at him in perceived mockery. Doing so negates the effect of Soulful Strut, shutting off the conveyor belt entirely. Propelled by the sudden stop, Beefeater is flung to freedom from the metallic anchor weighing him down. But he soon discovers that while he's been rescued from one predicament, he has landed in an even deadlier plight. Beefeater finds himself in the bin of an industrial trash compactor, ready and willing to crush him. The machine starts with a roar, given sentience by Soulful Strut. The ostentatious assassin has little time to react. Digging into his once pristine pink fur coat, he pulls out his last saving grace, a gold ingot he had kept hidden for such an occasion, his last item of value.
Money talks!
He calls out to summon his stand. The Gilded Guardian returns to Beefeater's side and transforms the bar of gold into the first thing he can think of to halt the compactor's gears. A double-decker sightseeing bus the size of the bin itself. The trash compactor does its job, but as it wasn't equipped with enough power to reduce an entire double-decker to scrap, its gears screech to a halt. Beefeater pulls himself out from within the coach, up the stairs and to the observation deck of the vehicle. He crawls out of the trash compactor entirely, landing roughly on solid ground. Beefeater collapses as his feet hit the ground, panting partly from overexertion and partly from fear.
Damn. Busting up that bus lowered its value by a metric fuck-ton. I'm getting sick of wasting my money on you bitches.
He grumbles loudly in frustration. Eloise cocks one eyebrow and looks down her nose at the prostrate Beefeater.
That is if you even have more money to spend.
She snarks.
You said you had a hard time finding all of that cash in this junkyard.
Beefeater picks himself up and dusts himself off, chuckling all the while out of cocksure amusement.
Oh, you think I'm all out of tricks, don't you, ho? Let me show you one then.
The entire bus, as well as the trash compactor, explodes from behind Beefeater into a myriad of golden coins.
That won't be enough.
He admits, his stand then transforming the collection of tokens into the same rocket launcher from before, as well as enough grenades to fire it a dozen times over.
Turns out when money talks sales, it's at market value. But here's a dirty little secret. Whenever I tell that fucker to buy, it's at the cost of production. In other words,
he trails off, his explanation serving as a command to his stand to showcase this trick firsthand. Money Talks takes the bazooka and renders it back into coins. The amount of money garnered from this transaction has more than doubled what it was before. The small pile of coins has turned into a glittering mountain of gold as Beefeater finishes his thought.
I can turn a profit every time I use my stand. If I keep it up, I have so much money I can buy a god.
The grandiloquent gangster laughs in desperate lunacy as his stand continues its display of power. With every transformation of money into items, and the items back into money, the mountain of gold behind Beefeater grows larger and larger. Blinding flashes of light from each transformation strike Eloise and Sunny, who can do little more than watch. As Beefeater's roarous laugh of insanity winds down, he announces out loud what he will use all of the money to create in order to end his adversaries' lives.
Y'all looking at $1 billion, bitches? If I'm going out, I ain't going out by myself. In fact, I'm taking everyone the fuck out. We about to go nuclear. Get ready to say hi to Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
With that, Money Talks sends away the mountain of gold worth $1 billion in order to summon a nuclear bomb. Sunny collapses in defeat, burying her head in her hands and wailing. But Eloise doesn't flinch. She instead looks to the sky as if expecting the bomb to drop any moment, but it never does.
The fuck? How was that not enough?
Eloise takes a step forward, causing Beefeater to double back in fright.
Don't you even think about it.
He threatens.
You ain't ever paying installments. All I need is for Money Talks to dump some more cash into that bomb and it's over.
As Eloise continues pressing onward, Beefeater takes another step back. He trips over some junk, falling on his rear right beside his stand.
What cash would that be?
Eloise wonders, reminding Beefeater that he has entirely depleted his funds. With one last-ditch idea, Beefeater grins, flashing his golden teeth studded with priceless diamonds.
Ain't gonna need to be smiling in hell, will I? Money Talks, do your thing!
Sacrificing his sterling smile, Beefeater's gilded teeth are traded for the last bit of coin required to summon his atomic bomb. And yet, even with that, the bomb never falls. Beefeater shudders in fear, whimpering through a toothless maw.
I don't understand. Why won't it work?
Eloise kicks Beefeater while he's down, stepping on his chest and pinning him to the ground with her heel.
I've worked every day of my life at the cost of my own smile. You think I would be defeated by someone who thinks that money comes without sacrifice?
Grinding her heel deeper into Beefeater's sternum, Eloise grabs a hold of her hat.
Do you not understand the simple principle of hyperinflation?
She teases.
You destroyed your own economy. Your money is worth less.
From underneath Witchy Woman, another Eloise phases through the original. As each skull on the stand vanishes, Beefeater watches in utter confusion as he witnesses 9 versions of Eloise all coexisting underneath the same hat.
This is Witchy Woman's strange magic.
9 separate legs extend from Eloise's hip, ready to squash Beefeater like the bug that he is. Eloise lets loose with a series of rapid-fire kicks, grinding Beefeater into the mud, rendering him unconscious as his stand deactivates. At the end of the onslaught, Witchy Woman flies into the air, snatched up by only a single iteration of Eloise. She glares down at the defeated Beefeater, breathing heavily in disgust at the vermin before her. A gentle tap on her shoulder snaps Eloise out of her own head. Sunny pulls Eloise away, suggesting they return to the group.
Let's get out of here, Elo. The others might be worried.
Tired steps trot along, leaving the battlefield behind them. While leaving the junkyard from its main entrance, Eloise's attention is snagged by the sun slowly breaking through the clouds and casting away the rain. Diverted from their path, Eloise follows the glint of a familiar sight through the nearby brush.
Elo, where are you going? The gang's the other way.
Sunny follows, and is equally captured by the sight they uncover together. Sunny and Eloise find themselves on the edge of a cliff overlooking the San Francisco Pier. A breeze from the bay wafts up to them, the evening sun casting a glimmer on the waves. For only a moment, Eloise is back home. Sunny stares at her newfound friend in disbelief of her countenance before smiling at the vista laid out before them.
You know, there are some things money can't buy.
Sunny notes. Glancing back, she finds herself more entranced by the warm smile having found its way to Eloise's face. Realizing that her friend is so mesmerized by the vision that she isn't even aware of Sunny's presence, she utters a final admission of gratitude.
Like that smile. It's priceless.
As the sun breaks through the clouds and begins to set, it casts the junkyard in shadow. Beefeater stirs, returning to consciousness. He can barely move his body and doesn't even have the strength left to call upon Money Talks for help. Long shadows stretch over top his broken body as Beefeater is surrounded by dark figures. 5 separate fortunate sons gather to look upon the failure. Beefeater can barely shake his head. He whimpers through a muffled voice, pleading toothless.
No, man. This is the opposite of what I wanted.
His cries are silenced by a single gunshot. La Cantina, the group of unwilling CIA experiments living on borrowed time, shrinks once again.
She's gone.